How's it going? So welcome to my unplanned live stream. So I wasn't planning on doing a live stream this evening, but I thought, you know what, there's a new tool that I want to look at called ElevenLabs for AI in education. And I wanted to test out a couple of things. I wanted to test out some software on my iPad called Switcher Studio, which allows me to have a live stream and to set things out, set up my iPad as a broadcast studio. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing to do. One of the things I like about Switcher Studio is that it lets me have all sorts of transitions. It lets me have my iPad as the broadcast studio. And I really like the fact that it lets me share out my screens as well as use my camera or my iPhone as an external floating camera. Anyways, so the live stream here tonight is really going to be all about looking at working with AI in education. Specifically, I want to take a look at a tool that I'm just starting to explore called ElevenLabs. I want to take a first look at ElevenLabs, give you some impressions of what I see sort of as I unwrap the box, so to speak. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about future live streams to see, first of all, how well does this work with my iPad as my broadcast studio. Oh, and another cool thing that I'm doing as well is I've started a community on Skool to discuss learning and technology, to discuss different topics. So if you're interested, I have put into the description of this video a link to our Skool community that I'm starting to build up, and I'm hopefully going to be able to put a lot of different resources there and maybe have more substantial conversations. So if you're actually interested in technology and how we can use it to learn and teach and be more productive, then that really would hopefully be a good community that we can build up together. But today I just really wanted to take a look at working with some of these different topics. So the first thing that we look at is when we talk about AI in education, we know that it's happening. We know that it's being used by students. It's being used more and more by instructors and faculty and teachers. And we know that it's being used in the school system itself to look for opportunities to automate and be more efficient with the way that we work with technology. Of course, there's a ton of things about AI in education that we could think about that are maybe not so great. We worry about people cheating, but that's another topic. Really, today we're going to look at some tools. Specifically, we're going to take a look at the ElevenLabs tool. And there's a lot of different tools out there. I kind of break it down into two different aspects. I break it down into the general use tools, our good friends ChatGPT, things like Gemini, Perplexity, some of those tools. And then I look at tools that are domain-specific tools or tools that are designed for a purpose. And ElevenLabs is an interesting sort of hybrid here because it does have a lot of aspects that allow me to create AI agents, workflows, and a lot of creative things. But it also has some domain-specific, so I can use it. For example, I can apply it to education. So let's take a look. I'm just going to pop over to another screen here. So if everything went well, I'm now switched cameras and you should be able to see my screen as well with ElevenLabs. So I've just logged in. I've signed up for an account with ElevenLabs. I have a link down below in the description because full disclosure, ElevenLabs has reached out to me and they've asked me if I'd be interested in creating a video on ElevenLabs. That is something that I may very well do. This is not that video. This is my first look at ElevenLabs. You're seeing it with me, seeing it sort of unwrapping what it can do here. So I have signed up for an account. Now the account that I'm using right now is going to be just the free account. I'm just going to take a look at that. And tonight what I really wanted to look at is sort of what's here. What do we have with ElevenLabs? What have I discovered and what can we maybe discover together a little bit? So I have obviously logged into ElevenLabs and I took a quick look before. One of the things that I did notice is that with ElevenLabs, you have a creative platform and you have an agents platform. So the creative platform allows me to work with audio, AI audio, but it does seem to be doing a bit more than that. And then when I go to the agents platform, This is where I can go in and I can set things up in terms of setting up personal assistants or setting up business assistants. So I can create these agents, or I can even create a blank agent in here as well. And just going through, let's say if I was going to do a personal agent, and let's say I was going to go there we go, learning companion. So underneath here, let's say we'll do help me learn computer networking. So spell it the correct way, computer, really try to spell it, computer networking. That's I always like a live stream. A good live stream is a great place to show your incredible typing skills. And I could go in here and I could say something along the lines of, what do I want to do? I would like to prepare for the Network Plus certification. So, or Cisco, whatever the case may be. And in my case, I'm going to do chat only. I think one of the big features of ElevenLabs, again, I'm just exploring the product, is that it's very audio focused. And that's going to be very interesting. A little bit more challenging to do on a live stream, because with the live stream, of course, I have my audio going out, so it's hard to capture my audio interactions. It's just a technical thing. I'm sure I could figure it out, but not right now. So we're going to go in here. So I have this in here, and you can see, oh, there we go. So I can go in and I can set up workflows, do voice analysis. You can see here I can ready to start for Network Plus certification, disable interruptions. So in this case here, if I'm delivering it, that's interesting. I have some personality in here. So I can say patient, support, friendly, enthusiastic. So this would be something. So interestingly, I'm currently working on a project where we're using virtual reality to try to help students develop communication skills and do things like give presentations, job interviews, and those types of things. And when we start training people to do those types of tasks, it's great if we have friendly, enthusiastic folks, but we also might want to train our students on how to work with less than supportive people. So if we're training them, for example, to work with jobs where they might have to be in public relations, it's interesting that ElevenLabs does allow me, or appears to allow me, to set up flexibility in terms of me creating agents that are very much tailored to what I'm looking for. So we have things like personality, environment, tone, our goal. I could go in here and do some additional goal setting in here. This is very good for education. I can put guardrails in here. And I'm just, full disclosure, this is the first time I'm seeing this myself, so I haven't played with this to the point where I understand it deeply. I think probably what I'll do is if I like this at the end of tonight's live stream, probably go and grab an upgraded subscription just so that I can see some of the advanced features, and I'll do some voice stuff in here as well. So there's some tools in here. Okay, so we have that in there. Okay, and there's an LLM. Oh, so we can choose our LLM. So it is using Gemini. We could use, so there are some other ones in here. You can see this is charging me. So you're paying for and that makes sense. These are APIs, application programming interfaces. So you can go and see the pricing in here. So if you want to go for some of the, there's some experimental ones in here. And then you can see that there's some less expensive ones in there. You can see some detailed costing in there. Okay, so we're doing this one here, pretty inexpensive relative to the others. In terms of a temperature parameter, that's creativity and randomness, kind of neat, deterministic, creative. So I guess the first impression that I'm having right now is certainly on the agents platform, it's really giving me the ability to dial in a lot of customizations for the agent. And I think that's very important if I'm going to be doing anything along the lines of, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move my, I hope when I did this here, let me grab that. Okay, good, you would have seen that. Sorry about that. I'm trying to manage my live stream software where my circular head here doesn't block too much. Anyways, like I was saying, so this is very good because I feel that this does give me a lot of control over how the agent's going to behave. In a actual scenario where I wanted to use this, I would spend more time with each of these elements, and I would become familiar with how each of these elements work. In tonight's live stream, we're taking our first look, preliminary look in here. Allows me to add custom tools. That's pretty cool. So yeah, there's some good stuff in here. So this is more development. So developing an agent, right? You can see I can go in here. I can determine some voices in here. So I can modify my voices. Actually, this was something I did see. I think it was last November, it might have been. I was at a conference, I'm pretty sure it was, and it probably was ElevenLabs, and we were looking at some voice cloning. And that was quite interesting in there as well. So that's interesting. I can set this up here. Telephony in here as well. That's interesting. Different tools that we have. So I can put these in here. So, okay, so this is around AI agents. Now, AI agents is a whole topic unto itself. Actually, comment down below if you'd like to see a video where we build an agent fully. ElevenLabs looks like a good platform that we could maybe do that with. But I'm going to pop over to the creative platform, where this would be maybe a little more familiar if you're just starting to get into AI. Actually, if you're just starting to get into AI, chances are that the most likely thing that you're seeing are chat-based AIs, the chat GPTs, it's in the name, chat GPT, where you're using that in order to have a conversation with an AI. And as those programs evolve, of course, they have more functionality in them. But here we go on the ElevenLabs creative platform. And you can see here we have text-to-speech, voice changing, some sound effects in here, and a voice isolator. So you can see that we're really working here with audio and how to work with audio. We can create audiobooks. We can have conversational AI in here. There's some neat ones in here, some library in here. So we've got some pre-built character voices in here, if you would. We can go and create design a voice from a text prompt. We can clone our own voice. Now, a big part of cloning your own voice, let's say I was creating training videos, or let's say I wanted to create a self-running PowerPoint, something along those lines, or a presentation. I could clone my own voice and then use that as a narration tool for any content that I create. That's one of the things that I am interested in exploring with ElevenLabs. It is something that I think might be beneficial. There's some curated voices in here as well. So this is quite interesting that we have these elements in here. Let's look at maybe a conversational AI. And we'll see here, help me learn. So you can see that I was in the agents platform, and here we go, conversational AI. I can go in here. You can see that I've got my project in here that I go through. That's interesting. I can customize that in there. Let's go back to my creative platform. Let's go into, let's do maybe instant speech. Let's check that out. So I want to turn this into speech. Now, this might be a little bit challenging. Hopefully you will hear this if I play it through my speakers. Okay, let's hello world, how are you? And then I can put some, I don't know what I'll put in here. This is a live stream test. Now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to turn on my speakers and be quiet when I run this. So let's just go in here. I have these turned off so that they don't bother me. I'll put that in here and we will generate the speech. Yeah. That's...
Hello world, how are you? This is a live stream test.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you heard that too well. So that was a double whammy for me, because what's happening is I have on another screen here, I have audio playing. So that's why everything's silenced anyways. Long story short, it did generate that. It was pretty fast. I'd have to slow that down quite a bit in order to get more of a natural cadence to it. But you see here, I have a lot of ability to really control the voice in here. I can work with things like exaggerating it. So this is quite interesting to create something. I think one of the things that we saw was, if we go back to the home here, one of the things we can do is create audiobooks. So if we go in here, I can choose a voice here. Now this is very interesting from an educational standpoint because I can choose a voice. So I can choose a voice that, maybe my learner might be comfortable with, maybe, something Australian or, whatever the case may be. They can choose that. But let me see here. If I choose the audiobook, let me go back home. I don't know where I popped out of there for a moment. So if I go into the audiobook here, one of the things I noticed here is that I can upload a content file. So this means that I could upload, say, a document or a textbook, and then I could have it read to me. So I could have, now there are features that are available in different web browsers and such, where you can look at things like text-to-speech and such. It strikes me that this might be a great way to create maybe even a better opportunity to do that. So that's kind of interesting. There are some interesting projects in here, how to incorporate AI sound effect generators so you can do it for game development. This is quite interesting. So I can go in. There's one thing that I thought was interesting. There we go. So I was looking at this, some of the features that it could do. One of the things that we can do is create a podcast. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos, you'll know that I have worked with Notebook LM to create podcasts on different subjects as well. And so here you can have a conversation. We can play around with that a little bit, short, long. Underneath here, I can choose the host and the guest voice in here. Podcast language, I can auto detect. I can pull in from a URL. I can use an existing project that I'm working on. So in my case, I don't really have any projects that I built. Again, first look here, so we can put that in there. That's kind of interesting as well. All right, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time taking a look at everything here. This is sort of a little quick live stream. Let me just pop over to my other screen here. So the idea here, oh, now there's two of me. That's no good. So the idea here is that I wanted to create just a first look at working with our tool here, ElevenLabs. I'm going to explore it a little bit further and probably create a more structured video around how ElevenLabs works. But I can see from it that it seems to be a worthwhile tool. Let me just pop this live. It seems to be a worthwhile tool for doing anything to do with voice and for creating some agents around that. So I do need to explore it a little bit further. Unlike some of the AI and education tools that are geared specifically to education, that are domain specific for education, this seems to have maybe more broad appeal, that it'll work for game development, that it'll work with things like, working with podcasts, creating a podcast, doing production or content creation, all of which are very important when it comes to education. But, there's nothing like a lesson planning in here. So I wouldn't expect that. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed the video here. This is, again, there's three objectives for this live stream. One was I wanted to look at ElevenLabs. I hope you enjoyed my first look at ElevenLabs with me. The second thing was I wanted to work with Switcher Studio, which is the software on my iPad that allows me to control things. And the third thing is I have my Skool community linked in the description below. And this actually was showing as an event on my Skool community. So I'm also testing to see if that feature works. So thank you for testing with me. I actually think we had a couple of folks join me, but this was intended to be a test live stream. So if you're watching this after the fact, thank you very much. And if you watched it during the event, double thank you.